All right, ready to move on with your typography project? You should have your image and your outline completed. Before you begin adding words, I want you to have your list of words. It would be easiest if you go ahead and type it on the side of your page. That way you can just drag them in, and I'll show you that here in just a second. You need to choose two fonts that are going to work well for you. I have chosen this font, which is called Bangla, and I'll choose another one here that's going to contrast with Bangla. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the image layer, and we can start messing with your text. If you press Alt while you drag, it's going to copy the word. That way, should you need to reuse any of these words, they'll still be over here in your list. As you go, you may find that you want to add to that list. When I hold down Shift and Alt at the same time, it will enlarge it and keep it in the center. And Shift keeps it the same size, but maybe I don't want it to stay the same size. Maybe I want to stretch it a little bit, like so. Now that's okay. I mean, it kind of follows the line of the elephant, but before I tilt it, I may want to do an effect to it. Go ahead and change my font. I want one that's going to contrast with Bangla, and I have chosen Rockwell Extra Bold. The Bangla over here is a sans serif, and Rockwell Extra Bold is a slab serif and a nice thick bold font, so it is going to contrast very well with my Bangla. Now I'm going to show you how to do some specific effects to your text. There are a number of different styles that you can choose from. Try to choose one that's going to work well with what you want. Now, I want the elephant word to kind of go either up like this, or maybe it goes kind of right here and up, and I can stick another word under here. Our goal is to fill the elephant with words, right? So the more words you can use large like this, the better off you'll be. So there's that option. Maybe I would rather that it fill more space by using this bulge style. That works pretty well too. I can control the bend. Let's say I wanted it to go the other direction. If I had a space that worked well for that, I could do that. But this is good for me. See what horizontal does and what vertical does. You will find your own style as you go through these, and you can mess around with all of these words in several different ways. You can play around with what all these options do, and I encourage you to do so. Now once I'm here, I'm going to kind of fit it to my space a little bit more, and I can go beyond the space of the outline that I've got, because I can cut off some of these letters. But what I don't want to do is cut it off so that I can see the edge of the outline through a letter. I want to make sure that I don't do that, so I'm going to pull it up even more. That looks pretty good, and I can, like I said, cut off the side of the T to show that outline of the elephant more, and I can cut these off when I'm finished here. Now let's say that I wasn't quite satisfied with my font here. Let's say that I wanted to make it either all capitals, or I wanted the first letter to be capital, which would make sense because it's my big word. What you will need to do, up here you have options in your option bar with all the different things for warping text. So I can come back in here and I can change all of this. Notice that it brings it back to the horizontal, because that's going to make it the most accurate effect for the bulge style that we've chosen. I'm pretty satisfied with that, however, so I'm not going to change any of these. This is your horizontal and this is your vertical, and all those options you may change. What I want to do is edit contents. So this is edit envelope and this is edit contents. So I click on edit contents, and now I can come in here and I can change my font if I need to. But what I really want to do is edit the text. So grab your text tool, click on the text, and you can change what you want to change. If I wanted them all to be capitals, remember that you can use this option right here. Of course, you have to have it selected first. And it looks like it distorts it, but once you click away, it fixes itself. I don't want that. I liked it better with just the one, so I'm going to Command Z. Okay, now I am finished with that one, so I can move on to the next one. I'm going to drag beautiful over here. I'm going to try to stick it right underneath elephant, and I want to have an effect that's going to kind of bring it upwards like this. So let's see what we can find. Kind of just choosing some options, checking preview to see the final effect. Probably not that one. Let's try the wave. That's kind of close to what I want, but I want the bottom edge to go up. So I think rise might be the one that I want. Then I can stick it right underneath there. I'll have to do some switching around to make that work right. But I'll click OK, and I'll go ahead and move that. Switch it around a little bit. Now, this is not exactly where I want it, so I'm going to have to do some troubleshooting here. If I click on Edit Envelope first to switch out of Edit Contents. Now I can move my elephant a little bit. Say I want to move it up, maybe get myself a little bit more space for my beautiful. Okay, that's pretty good. Now there's too much of the U and the L sticking out below my elephant, so what we're going to do is switch from the Move tool, the Selection tool, to the Direct Selection tool, the white arrow. This will allow me to more specifically move sections of the letters. So I need to first click on an edge. You will then find the handles and the anchors show up for you. And then I can move individual anchors. And if I wanted to, I could move handles too. It looks like I may need to. I can move this handle here, change the angle of that, and I can move this one here. And that will fit a little bit more to my shape, the elephant. I do have my A sticking out right there, so I could move that up just a bit and kind of get that in the right place. You do not have to be totally strict on overlap. Like I said, we're going to do something that's going to help out with that line later. Don't be worried about how close you get. Some of them are slightly above, some of them are slightly below. This is okay. So, using the Warp tool and the Direct Selection tool, you can make your letters into some pretty fantastic shapes here to fill the shape that you've made. But let's say that you want to follow a line very specifically. For example, right here along that is a pretty specific curve. Let's say that I wanted one word to be there. Let's click on our pen tool and very quickly make the curve that I want to have. Okay, getting rid of the fill. And you don't need to have a stroke on it, although it doesn't matter. If you want to have a stroke so you can see the line, that's fine. Now, go ahead and switch to the Type tool. So we drew the line with our pen tool. I'm going to switch to the Type tool using the key T. Now remember how when we type we want to have a box, because if it's not a box then it's going to be replacing something. Well, this time we want to replace this line because we want our text to go right along right here. So I'm going to click and you'll notice that my text is going to be super huge. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that down quite a lot. And I'm going to type. And I think I'll go ahead and make this one all caps. Let's see about making it a little bigger. And I want to spread it out a little bit so I can see the letters. These are all things that you have already learned. That looks pretty good. Let's zoom out and take a look. You can use any of these techniques that I have gone through to just start filling up this elephant or your shape. Pulling in words and warping them to whatever fits your needs. If you want something to look like a megaphone, you can use any of the tools and just make the horizontal bigger on one side or the other. And that's how you can do that. As I mentioned, you can add more words as you go. Also remember that it will keep the settings from the previous word, so I'll need to change that back, and this is different too. If you want to go back to the original, you can click on this little down arrow and click Reset Panel, and it will do that, but it also brings it away from your font. This is the default for when you open it, so that's something to keep in mind. So just play around with these and make them whatever shapes you need to make them to fill up the shape that you have outlined.